Greetings, Zimbabwe. You are tuned into Change Radio News. Today is Friday, 27 February 2026, and the news read by Olive Rujidzo. And here are the news headlines. Threatening markings found at Jameson Timber's gate amid rising political tensions. Police block constitutional amendment bill discussion in Bulawayo, and Temba Mliswa alleges secret military meeting over his criticism of Vice President Constantino Chiwenga. And now for the news in detail. Defend the Constitution platform convener, Senator Jameson Timber, says unknown individuals left threatening markings at his gate, with similar markings reported at the home of academic Ibo Mandaza. It is believed the acts are meant to intimidate leaders and members of the Defend the Constitution platform, which opposes constitutional amendments. Civic groups accuse ZANU-PF of using threats and abductions to silence dissenting voices. The allegations come amid reports of recent abductions of activists. I beg your pardon. The allegations come amid reports of recent abductions of activists, including a member of the Constitution Defenders Forum, Baid Gore, and two members of the National Constitutional Assembly linked to constitutional lawyer Lovemore Maduku, who were allegedly assaulted and later dumped in Highlands, Harare. The incidents are raising alarm as debate over constitutional amendment bill intensifies, with calls for vigilance and accountability. Police in Bulawayo have blocked a public meeting organized to discuss the constitutional amendment bill, citing security concerns. The Public Policy Research Institute of Zimbabwe had scheduled the event at the Bulawayo Rainbow Hotel. Invited speakers included Mayor David Coulthard, ZANU-PF Provincial Chairman Jabulani Sibanda, and constitutional lawyer Nikiwe Ncube. Mayor Coulthard confirmed the development on social media, saying organizers were informed that police had declined permission. He described the move as revealing paranoia and insecurity within ZANU-PF over the proposed constitutional changes. Former legislator Temba Mliswa has claimed that serious military officials recently held a secret meeting in which he was discussed before later visiting the vice president's residence. In a post on X, Mliswa said the alleged meeting was triggered by his public criticism of what he calls misconduct and abuse of office by Vice President Constantino Chiwenga. He described the gathering as part of covert political maneuvers with what he termed subversive agendas. Mliswa argued that as a political office holder, the vice president is open to public scrutiny, adding that recent statements attributed to him place him at odds with ruling party resolutions and risk undermining party unity. Villagers in Sanyati have petitioned their Member of Parliament, Polite Kumbamura, urging him to reject the proposed constitutional amendments and ZANU-PF Resolution Number 1, arguing the bill concentrates excessive power. The governor of the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe, John Mshayavanu, says there is no longer a fixed 2030 deadline to end the multi-currency system and move fully to the ZiG currency. Instead, authorities will focus on meeting key economic conditions, including low inflation, increasing import cover to between 3 and 5 months, improving the foreign currency market, and ensuring a stable ZiG supported by strong demand. The central bank says even if Zimbabwe eventually adopts the ZiG fully, US dollar contracts will continue to be settled in US dollars and foreign currency accounts will remain unchanged. Meanwhile, a new series of ZiG banknotes will be introduced on April 7, starting with denominations of 10, 20, and 50, while 100 and 200 will be released later. Governor Mshayavanu says ZiG coins are also being reissued to prevent price inflation linked to a lack of change. He also said in releasing the ZiG 10 and 20 in circulation, they will be adding new denominations that will circulate alongside them. A statutory instrument to formalize the introduction of the new notes will be published today. Mshayavanu outlined the process for replacing old notes. Banks will be required to return the old currency to the central bank, where it will be destroyed and replaced with new banknotes of equivalent value. Business leader Trevor Ncube has warned that Zimbabwe's infrastructure decay, brain drain, and weak accountability are pushing the country into decline. Speaking at the think tank 2026 event, Ncube urged leaders and citizens to rebuild the nation through integrity, competence, and support for entrepreneurs. Economist Anesu Daka also called for renewed efforts to restore economic growth. Artisanal miners in Masvingo Rural, near Stopover in Chief Charumbira's area, have uncovered human remains and ammunition believed to belong to Liberation War fighters in an abandoned mine shaft. Police spokesperson Paul Nyati says about 30 bodies are suspected, with forensic examinations underway at Masvingo Private Provincial Hospital. In economic news, global lithium prices and stocks have surged after Zimbabwe suspended all exports of lithium concentrate, triggering supply concerns, particularly in China. Zimbabwe is Africa's largest lithium producer, with most exports destined for China, where firms have invested heavily. Lithium is a key component in electric vehicle batteries and renewable energy storage. And in news from local communities, a 67-year-old woman from Rijeko A in Masvingo has died after failing to raise funds for a medical stent. NSC Wedza was diagnosed with a serious esophageal growth that left her unable to swallow food, relying on drip for nourishment. Her family had been seeking $880 for the stent and an estimated $15,000 to cover the operation. Her son, Vincent Mahala, confirmed she passed away Thursday at Masvingo Provincial Hospital. She will be buried at Mangwandi Cemetery on Saturday. A Zimbabwe Prisons and Correctional Services officer has been arrested for allegedly helping a convicted rapist escape from custody. Yusufu, aged 47, is accused of facilitating the escape of Mike Kabangani Mate from Plumtree Prison. Mate, who had previously instilled fear in Plumtree, was convicted of rape. He evaded a police manhunt and fled to Malawi before being deported back to Zimbabwe and rearrested. Yusufu appeared before Magistrate Joshua Nembaware, facing charges of assisting a prisoner to escape. In international news, in Zambia, Zambia has halted a proposed $1 billion health funding agreement with the United States, citing clauses that link aid to mining partnerships. The move aligns Zambia with Zimbabwe and Kenya, which have pushed back against conditions they say undermine national sovereignty. The 5-year deal aimed at fighting HIV/AIDS and malaria reportedly stalled after funding was tied to access to copper and cobalt. Health activists warned the arrangement would cut support for life-saving programs while prioritizing mining interests. Zambian authorities say they have asked for changes to the agreement, with President Hakainde Hichilema saying reduced aid presents an opportunity for the country to manage its own affairs. And finally, in sports news, New Chicken Football Club coach Ndiraya says he faces pressure to deliver as he takes over from long-serving coach Joey Antipas ahead of the Casalaga Premier Soccer League season. Speaking in Bulawayo, Ndiraya praised Antipas' achievements, including the 2015 league title, but admitted expectations are high. He said the squad had been strengthened with new signings and preparations intensified, while club management expressed confidence his experience will help team compete for trophies after narrowly avoiding relegation last season. To end the news bulletin, here are the headlines once again. Threatening markings found at Jameson's Timbers Gate, arising political tensions. Police block constitutional amendment bill discussion in Bulawayo, and Temba Mliswa alleges secret military meeting over his criticism of Vice President Constantino Chiwenga. This concludes our bulletin for today. Thank you for listening. From myself, Olive, and the entire team at Change Radio, have a blessed weekend.